In DC, for DC. DC Radio, 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov.
Welcome to Inside Style, DCRadio.gov, 96.3 HD4. I am your host, George Worrell. I'm excited with today's podcast. My lovely guest today is the incomparable Ms. Michel Wright. Michelle, welcome to Inside Style.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been called incomparable in about a couple of years. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm really good. How about you?
Good, feeling great. And again, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for kicking off Women's History Month. You are the first person that came to mind. We've known each other for a couple of years.
Yeah, many years.
Many years. And I was saying that we first met at an event for women and that you were gracious enough to come to. And it's full circle that you're here so many years later.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
event. Was it at a church?
It was at a church. It was Greater Mount Calvary. And there was some lovely women, including you, Kim Lee, who's going to be here next week.
Oh, wow. And what was the...
It was Women's History Month.
It was Women's History Month.
Yeah.
Man.
And women have played such a pivotal role in what I do. I think it shouldn't be just a month, but year-round celebration. But thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
There's so many things that we can talk about. One of the things that attracted to me is that your personal style, throughout the years that I've known you, you never look the same. It's always a transition of, stylish, So tell us, what is it that inspires you? Because your look is not like anyone else's.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
I guess.
Meaning good.
Okay. Oh, well, life inspires me.
Mm-hmm.
And life, our journey, it's always ups and downs, twists and turns. And, when you pay attention, you take heed.
Mm-hmm.
And in taking heed to life, I make adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in some ways reinvent, revive, renew, refresh, and all that kind of stuff. And at different points in your life, you feel different ways. And earlier in my life, when I was not feeling as confident about things that I wanted to try in terms of my style, my attire. Even what I did, I may have been a little bit more hesitant because, again, I wasn't so confident yet. I hadn't really come into my own or matured. But that maturation process, of course, it continues throughout our life.
Mm-hmm.
But different things I've learned in life in different stages and different things I've been exposed to. And again, the more you travel, you learn and you see things. And, I've never really been afraid to try things. I consider myself an adventurer. Mm-hmm. And that's with my style, too. For the most part, I think day to day, I like to do what I consider casual funky.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times I do quiet cool that might scream just a little bit.
Okay. So does it help or did it hinder being here in Washington? Because there's definitely a different style here. It's more conservative, although now it's, I think since the Obama administration, it's changed a little, but with color and things like that. But before that, you were giving us all the things that you just described.
Well, Washington has been more kind of traditional, more muted,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did travel a bit, even when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw things and went to different places. And, when you go to Paris when you're young, when you go to New York, when you're young, and go to, other places, and you see, oh, wow, I can unleash a little bit. So I always was a little bit just different anyway, quirky, if you will, or just, sometimes dancing to the music inside my own head. Mm-hmm. So I was always like, well, I'm going to put this on anyway. And this is that kind of event. And I can still, carry myself and be demure if necessary. But I'm going to have on something that's kind of casually funky.
but that's that feeling of inside. So what I talk about is inside, outside, and then your clothes. So if you're feeling good on the inside, and then you're doing your hair, your teeth, all of those things, dental, and then your clothing, those three components together will somehow make you in the forefront of what you want to do, and that more confident. I know for me, because I thought that way. I thought, I'm a bit of a dandy, So I'm going to have to figure out how to do that and still be comfortable and still kind of not throw too many people off into circles, in the business that I do, when I was event planning and things like that. But also evolving to say, you know what? This is what I like. This is what I'm wearing. Did it help you in what you do to feel the passion that it came together? Talking to people, radio, TV, come together with the fashion?
Well, I guess kind of, because, fashion goes hand in hand with music, entertainment, and all that anyway. And especially when you're on the radio, and early in my career, radio in the 90s, again, everything has been since then about fashion. There's a fashion aspect to what we do. So you want to look a certain way to kind of fit in but stand out. So, we were given, the swag was really popular back then. You were always given swag from a record label. So you could throw on a Def Jam sweatshirt, Rock the Bells jacket or something, and, some jeans or whatever. It was always just a part of the lifestyle to look a certain way and to be able to, in a way, in music, I think fashion allows you to be a little bit of a rebel. And, the radio industry is the music industry. They're one and the same pretty much. So you get to, again, adventure, explore.
Did you set out on this road?
No. My intent after undergrad was to go to law school. My dad was a career Department of Justice employee. And my parents really thought, well, you have this inquisitive nature and you have this thing about you, and I think you'd be a good attorney. And my dad really wanted me to be in that world. So, political science and all that, I felt so like there was a lid on the jar of me. And I tried, and I was studying for the LSAT and all that, and I was going to go. But then it just struck me again, because I also went to the Performing Arts High School, Duke Ellington. So I always had that thing in me. And, I would go with the other kids, put leg warmers on, and walk to the Safeway and buy 2 pounds of grapes. And think I was hip. Think I was cool. And riding the bus all the way across town because I grew up in Ward 5. And I remember there were the kids, they would make sure I got to the bus stop and got there safely because I would ride all the way across town to go to Duke Ellington. And again, I just was one of those cool kids. Even cool enough that I auditioned for the school. I'd heard about the school a couple of years after it opened, and I said, one day I'm going to audition for that school. And I did, and I got in. I was fortunate.
So it molded.
Yeah, kind of molded, yeah. I think that's where I got some of that thing about me with fashion, that I'll dare to put on certain things.
But being at Duke Ellington surrounded you with that to say that was okay as well?
Yes.
Was that a great influence for you?
Oh, great influence. Even though some of my fashion choices have been misses. Over the years. And, sometimes when those pictures come back to haunt you because of social media these days, I'm like, what in the heck was I thinking? What do you have on?
It's so funny because when I pulled pictures for the promo, there were so many different looks.
And then the one you chose, I'm like, why did George choose that one?
Oh, I should have. You didn't like that? I love that.
That's fine. No.
Okay. Sometimes I try to ask first.
Because also it didn't even show much of the fashion. But again, sometimes I put on something, I was like, what in the world? And then, I hold on to things too, George. Because I still have, I remember when I was working in New York, a whole different space, and I was hanging out with people like Mary J. Blige and whatever, and I bought things like Dolce & Gabbana suits, and I still have some of them, with that beautiful green lining and whatever. I still have things like from back in the day. My mom, she loved the store called Woodward and Lothrop.
Yeah.
I've got a silk black coat with covered buttons that she had back then. That thing is tough.
We need to come and do something in your closet and film it. Yeah. Do you consign?
No, I haven't. I've given too much stuff away. I've given away some stuff, and I'm like, why did I give that away? I should have held on to that, you know?
You think? So looking forward, like, how's your journey? How, you planned on being a lawyer. Well, it was asked of you to be a lawyer.
Right.
And then you found this career that's like, this is what I fit. Someone listening, whether if it's a young man or young woman, what advice would you talk about in your journey that landed you and kept you here besides the passion? So it's the passion, but what's next? When you figure it out, what did you do next when you said, hey, I'm on the radio? Like you said, you were living in New York, you were traveling. Give us that input that most people don't hear about, like, maybe not being there anymore or whatever, like the inside. Give us some examples of that. Being a Black woman, being in the radio industry, being in TV. Yes, it's good, but let's know about the hard work.
That's right.
Yeah, all
and
of those
tough
things.
times, because it's really, really tough, and you feel so alone, so by yourself. You wonder why people don't share information sometimes, and one thing that you've got to remember is that you really have got to do it a lot yourself. And there are going to be lonely times and lonely moments, and you're going to feel like, oh gosh, it's only me out here. But although you have to get help, you have to have assistance. One of the things that I've always done, based on some information that was shared with me, was that you always got to look for your next, even when you're in the moment. So, when you identify what it is you want to do next, go ahead sometimes and just create that for yourself. And one of the things I try not to do is to wait for anyone to give me anything, because there's nobody that's going to rescue me or save me or give me anything. I have to go and get it. You have to go and create it sometimes. And in this world, in the social media world, this digital age that we're living in, this is the best time of all, because you can easily create. And sometimes people look at that as, you're both benefactor and victim, because anyone can do and be anything these days. So the definition of the road to stardom has changed, certainly. You don't have to go necessarily the route that people many years ago went. You can go viral on YouTube or on Instagram or something, and the next thing you know, you got some deal. You're all over TV and you're making a lot of money, whatever. But what I'd say is just keep do whatever it is. And again, today is the best time and that I've been alive to do anything you want. That if you want to do radio and TV, and to me they're the same, they're the mediums, there's a visual and audio aspect, period. On radio and on we're being filmed now, or video, we took a picture or whatever, everything. There's a visual aspect to it with radio. So I'd say just go ahead and do it. If you want to be on the radio, start doing a radio show. Record in your phone. Post, clips on Instagram, on IGTV, turn the camera on yourself and do it. Do a podcast. Just go. Just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep creating the things that you want to do so you can have the best life possible.
How did you get into voiceover work?
Well, just by talking and being on the radio. And, you've noticed that radio has changed over the years. Back in the day, it was you have to sound a certain way as a woman and sound a certain way as a man to be considered to do voiceovers, commercials, et cetera, things like that. But then it got more and more that everyday people, because you want to hear people that sound like people and somebody that you know. So just being in that environment, and I was with a really, really big agency for a long time, the Don Buchwald Agency in New York, and that afforded me many opportunities, like Visit the Cotton Club, Showtime television series, all kinds of wonderful commercials, because I was with a big agency that had leverage. One of their top clients to this day is Howard Stern. But, they had clients from singers, who made records. They were doing voiceovers as well, people you saw on TV. And I didn't know, but we were, with this same agency, and that's how I got in the voiceover business.
In my Uber, there was a gentleman who was playing house, and he said he wanted to be a DJ and do some different things, and I suggested some platforms. He's like, "Oh no, I don't want to do that." And then I told him to get past what he thought the fear. Let's talk about the fear. I know for me, fear pushes me because it comes. If you're going on air, if you're interviewing certain people, certain things. Were you able, did you feel fearful? Do you feel fearful in certain aspects of where you're going in your career?
Well, I take the advice that started many years ago. I don't know who started it, but then it was passed on and passed on and passed on and passed on. And I remember Jamie Foxx, he said it a few years back, but he said it to me many years earlier. And I think Will Smith said this too. On the other side of fear is everything and nothing. It is everything and nothing. So I'm not generally fearful. I'm cautious. I'm mostly cautiously optimistic. Because I believe in a good outcome, because no matter what the situation or what happens, I get something out of it. If you approach everything with, I'm going to get a takeaway here, something that's going to grow me, something that's going to benefit me, something that, I'm going to learn from, then you're not as fearful. Now, when I do what I do, I get something that I believe is a good thing. I get something I call flutterbys. Where, it's like that little thing in your stomach. It's like, oh, but it just like gives me that rush. I'm like, all right, come on, let's do this, But, I was born that way. That just that kind of, yeah, let's do this. Let's try this. Let's get it, Anyway.
So do you believe that, I see that, and I read, and you and I have talked about a good health regimen. Tell us about your health regimen, meaning the things that you do outside to keep you mentally healthy, physically healthy. Tell us some things about that.
Okay. Well, as far as the physicality, if you follow me on Instagram at Ms. Michel Wright, I've fallen off the wagon a little bit. We have a gym at our studios at SiriusXM Pandora Studios. So I hadn't been taking advantage of that gym as much as I should have. So I've been inviting friends over, like, come on over and work out with me. Let me take a break or whatever. But I do try to get some kind of workout. And every morning I do yoga poses and I meditate. I pray. So I do kind of what I call the word, the workout, and then I get to the work. And the word is that I tell myself some positive affirmations. I'll read the passages of the Bible and read, from books that I'm reading. Then I do my yoga poses, get myself fired up. And then I start on my work, get to my email, get to preparing for my day and the things I have to do. So I center myself that way. And I eat pretty healthy for the most part.
Okay.
I like to eat real foods, things that are less processed. If you're going to form something and create something that it's not, that's pretty much something that I'm not going to eat.
Okay.
So I like just natural, real stuff.
Okay.
Don't eat red meat or pork. Plenty of seafood and veggies.
Okay.
And very rarely, occasionally, I may eat some chicken because
like a wing.
Well, it depends, or maybe a jerk chicken breast or something.
Okay.
Because we travel and whatever, and more relaxed. You might want some prosecco. So I do allow myself to indulge occasionally, but I pretty much try to just be healthy, and try to exude goodness because I believe that boomerangs. So I give what I want to receive.
You do a lot in the community. Tell us about some of the organizations that you're involved in and what you're doing with them.
Well, a wide range of everything. I have someone in my family of special needs. He's blind, so I do a lot of things and causes with that. Members of my family and friends that I've lost because of breast cancer or due to breast cancer that are still on those journeys. So in that fight, a lot. And domestic violence, which was a part of my past as well. So many different issues. And of course, women and supporting other women because, you know how the things have been with women. This is why we're here and to celebrate Women's History Month.
Yeah.
But I celebrate women and try to do that every day. And on my radio platform, my national platform at SiriusXM, I do something called Hers Day. On Thursdays, I acknowledge and recognize a woman somewhere in America, in the world, and talk about what she's doing in her community or with her business or just in school or whatever, just so that everybody can know.
Art seems to be a big part of your life as well.
Yeah.
You and I have a friend, Alex,
Alex's house, one of his pieces is hanging in my house.
Yeah. So tell us about your feeling about art and how it plays a role in how you feel.
Well, art, because you look at the art and you get lifted, you get inspired. You go, oh, geez, somebody created that. Look at that. That in and of itself can inspire you, can motivate you to do something, to smile even. And a smile can carry you many extra steps when you think you can't get out of bed. So I love art. I've always supported art. I'm not really an artist, but I paint a little myself and draw and sketch and things like that. And, one of my other secret side hustles, I do hand lettering, which is kind of, to me, a funkier version of calligraphy. Yeah. So I'll do that, things like that. But I like art, and I've always been artsy.
So do you think keeping yourself busy with a lot of things helps to be creative and to move forward?
Well, being a creative, I think it's not necessarily that I keep myself busy, but that I have to. It nurtures me to do different things. So I enjoy it when I have weeks where it's like, okay, Monday and Tuesday, I'm at the Office of Cable Television, Film, Media, and Entertainment to tape my 202 TV show. Then a couple of days later, I may be in a studio session for our classical music channel at Sirius XM. And then after that, I have to record or be on my show at Sirius XM in the evenings on the Heart and Soul channel. And then maybe live in D.C. at one of the local radio stations here. I'm on 94.7 The Drive. And I just like to do different things. It serves my soul, and it serves and nurtures the creative in me.
So you don't feel overwhelmed?
Oh, no, because I'm really good at managing.
Okay.
I'm really good at managing and also freeing up my time. And I also know how to create enough space to give myself a day or 2 days if I want, where I just want to, hop a flight to Toronto.
That's what I was going to ask you. What do you do
get
to
on
just
a train and go to New York? Yeah, I'll fly up to Toronto in a minute, dip in and dip out, hang out. One of my best friends, Jeremy, he's there. And I've been known to, I said I don't really eat red meat or pork, but maybe every 2 years I get a craving for a bone-in ribeye.
Okay.
And I only want it at the Del Frisco's that's at the bottom of our Sirius XM New York studios. So I'll call my friend from Sri Lanka, Ghazali, say, I'm going to get on an early Marcel Express. Meet me. Let's hang out and go shopping. And then let's go get a steak at Del Frisco's. And then I get back on the train and I come back.
But don't you think I do similar from time to time. But doesn't it help move? It's part of who you are, and it makes everything else wonderful. For me, I think it just adds to it. And just to be able, like you said, to cultivate these friendships and loves in other places and go back to them. Like I go to the same hotel in New York on the Upper East Side. And, you get to know the people there, the shopping there. I hate that Barney's closed, but, all of those things. So, do you write at all?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Journal?
Yep. I journal and I write. And, it's interesting that you brought that up because that's where I thought I was going to end up as a kid because I was always into writing in books. I remember my parents used to tell me when everybody else was outside playing, I'd be in the house reading. And because my mom was an avid reader, and I remember every home we were in, we had one room designated as a library. It was always shelves and shelves. Every single wall was books, lined with books. And my mother had me reading The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings when I was a kid. So, it was a little more sophisticated than the Bobbsey twins, which my peers may have been reading then. But I was always into reading and writing, and I was in writing programs. So that's where I thought I was going to go, that direction, my life. But I detoured, and I'm happy. I have a good time with what I do, the things I do.
Yeah, so that it radiates out. So aside from the physical, what we see and what I see, what radiates for me about you is the inside. the inside comes out, that you are whole, you feel good about yourself, you feel good about other people, and the other things, which is minimal, the makeup or whatever, minimal, creates that whole person, but it's the inside that I get from you.
Thank you.
The inside, like I always see, it's always, hey, how are, it's always positive. Like when we visit each other, or I had written my book On the Other Side of Style many years ago, and we just met on the street. I'm like, Michelle, you're like, George, what's going on? And we catch up. You don't have to see someone every day to be close.
Yeah.
And the things that you've shared with me, you know, about the industry, because it's been a passion for me. It's not something I went to school for. I went to school for history, American history. But I've always had a passion about talking and speaking. I'm inquisitive about other people and people that are close to me, or people I really want to get to know. And many of them are women. My business is targeted to women. So it's been exciting just kind of whizzing in and out of Michel Wright's life. We would meet on P Street for coffee in the mornings, and we would just sit and talk, and you would give me some sage wisdom. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, and it doesn't mean that it has to be, 70 years old. You imparted in me what was given freely to you. And I just think that's what we're meant to do. What would you like to leave with our listeners today about your journey, their journey, where you think, let us know also if you have a new project that you want to talk about, but what do you want to leave?
I'm always on some new projects. But I've learned over the years to kind of chill with them and then just let them reveal themselves. I try not to, even though I'm in an industry that used to be called the broadcast industry, I try not to broadcast what I'm going to do. I try to just do it.
Okay.
But I would say to just maintain a curiosity. One of my coaches and mentors has said to me, she said that I have a youthful curiosity that she hopes never dies. And so I thought about that, and I believe that to be true. I am curious in a youthful kind of way, which I think helps to guide me and help me maneuver no matter how many years have passed or how long I've been doing whatever. It's that youthful curiosity. So I'd say stay curious and find ways to do what you love, because we don't know what's on the other side of this life. So you better soak up everything and do everything you can get in this life that we live. And I love people, so.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Where can we find you on social media?
Social media, all social platforms, Ms. Michel Wright, MS. Michel. That's 1 E, 1 L. Wright is with a W. That's WRIGHT. One word, Ms. Michel Wright. I'll see you on Instagram.
Yes. This is Michel Wright. Thank you again for coming. Thank you for our listeners listening in today. And thank you for coming and tuning in to Inside Style. DCRadio.gov 96.3 HD4. I am George Worrell. And remember, real style starts with being comfortable in your own skin. We'll see you next time.
In DC, for DC. DC Radio, 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov.